Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I have a good one for you today, I hope. I really haven't been proud of the videos I've been putting out lately, mostly because I am on, okay, let's think about this, sports. I'm not a huge sports person. I've been on the defense. I don't know why, I just like using analogies, but I'm on the defense lately. Like, I'm just trying to get videos up because a video needs to go up and I'm not super far ahead like I usually am, where I can really plan out videos and put together something really long and juicy for you. Ever since California, it's just been kind of a game of catch up, and like I mentioned in a previous video, lots of stuff going on right now in my personal life with my family, and yeah, it's just not much time for filming these days. So today is the first day that I feel like I'm kind of just like back in the swing of things, and I wanted to do this video for you because things get, I think in this hobby in general, it's pretty unpredictable. I would say more so in my house because I always have some kind of pest that just ruins things for me. So while things are looking good for some plants, I really try and show it to you. But you guys know that I do show you when it gets bad. So I'm not really trying to, I'm an open book. I'm not trying to like fake anything around here. But I have 7 plants for you today that are looking really lush and nice, and they've just given me so much growth this year, whether it be like the amount of leaves or like the actual size jump in the leaf. So fair warning, they're mostly philodendron, surprise surprise. No anthurium, because my anthurium are like forever in a state of rehab. I will do an anthurium video probably in a few weeks. I do have some leaves that are like opening up, and they're kind of on the mend for now anyway, so I'll try and capture it when it's good. Anywho, we're just going to jump right into it. The first one is a fun one, and it's this little cutie. This is a original hybrid from my friend Amanda. I will link her in the description. I know I talk about her all the time on this channel, but so many of my plants now are from her, and I'm so grateful. So this is one of them. I think, if I can rely on my memory, it is a philodendron Scott Morganum crossed with a 69686. So I will throw in the, scooch my butt over, I'll throw in the parents here. She used to think, like when they were still really small, like seedlings, she thought it could be a cross of a Scott Morganum or a maybe 69686 with a gloriosum. But now that some of the seedlings are like getting really big now, it's pretty obvious that there is no gloriosum in this. There is no gloriosum texture, the growth of it, the leaf shape, there's no gloriosum to be found. Would have been really fun if it was a gloriosum hybrid, just because I will take anything that has gloriosum, honestly. But this hybrid is really fun too, and it's been super hardy. Amanda, I sent a picture of this to Amanda. By the way, did I say I'll link her in the description? I'll link her in the description. I sent her a photo of this plant recently, and she was like, what the hell, it's so big now. It was like grass when I sent it to you, and this is what she means. It was a really teeny tiny thing. I had no clue I had no clue what it was, and I had no clue what it would end up looking like, because at that point, I think the seedlings were really brand new, and everyone who had it, they were kind of still in this very like juvenile stage where like this distinct features hadn't come through yet. But this has grown like mad in my care, and I'm now starting to see how cute it could be. It reminds me of what does it remind me of? Like a philodendron maximum without the venation, if I'm remembering correctly. But just kind of observing what my leaves look like now, it kind of seems like it's gonna have this really sort of chunky, chubby sinus. The lobes are slightly overlapping a bit on all of the leaves. I'm not quite sure if that's something that will hold throughout its maturity. I wouldn't mind if the sinus opened up and we had some cute little lobes like the 69686, but at this point I think that it's mature enough to say that it's probably gonna keep more of this shape and just get maybe longer and obviously wider I don't know if the venation will become more distinct. I think it definitely took the venation of the 69686 because from my recollection, the Scott Moranum has a bit more bold venation, or like a different, I think it's like a light green, or like even like a whitish color or cream color. I'm sorry, I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, this one has been so easy to grow. It is not on a pole or anything, and it's in this little to-go cup from when I got, what did I order? Tom Yum soup. So I've actually been calling this guy Tom just because it's in my Tom Yum soup cup, and Tom is doing great. I have been growing this kind of everywhere. It was in my tent for a long time just because it was so small. I didn't really know if I was going to rot it or let it dry out too fast. So I kept it in the tent, and it was in the tent until it was about maybe this big. And then once I started to get some distinct features on it, I took it out of the tent because I didn't want it to get too used to that environment, because I knew this was a plant I was definitely not going to be growing in there long term. Right now my tent is just housing new imports, acclimatizations, oh that's the same thing, new imports, rehabs, and plants that just kind of need a little bit of that boost because it's so humid and hot in there. So this has been growing in my plant room, just on the shelf, in I think it's about 45% humidity in there, or maybe 40. It's really, really warm, and yeah, it's fine. It has not kind of wavered. It hasn't dropped any leaves. It hasn't curled up. It hasn't done anything. It just kind of acts like it was never moved from the tent, which I'm grateful for. I do have a new leaf coming in, and I'm really, really excited to see how much it can grow and mature. I really love the philodendron maximum. That was one of the plants on my wish list, but I took it off just because at the rate that everything is growing in this house, I don't have the space. And I've been trying to not chop back my plants that I'm attempting to grow larger leaves, because it's a bit counterproductive to the goal. And it's been hard because I've been so used to chopping things back when it gets too big, and I just don't have space for anything. And I will show you maybe in about a week or two the new change in my plant room because of the fact that things have outgrown the space. So anyway, I don't know why I was talking about that, but all that to say, here is my, there was a point to that. Oh, I was talking about the maximum. So yeah, I really wanted the philodendron maximum. I love that plant, but just the space thing, it's not gonna happen. And I am a bit better, as some of you know, at growing philodendron than I am any other plant, really, Hoya, Anthurium, whatever. And I kind of feel like that's a plant that I'd probably be able to size up pretty well, and I can't fit it. So that blah, 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 that's the point of me saying I no longer have the maximum on my wish list anymore, because I feel like this kind of checks off those boxes for me and scratches that itch. So thank you, Amanda, for this amazing hybrid. If you guys have one of these too, because I know she sold a bunch, I'd love to know what yours looks like. I am kind of curious to see who maybe has like the biggest one right now, just to kind of see what those features look like. But this is mine. It's pretty big now and doing well. And did I show you what it was in? Oh yeah, I told you his name was Tom. Guys, my memory today is mush. I've been staying at my in-laws' place for the last, I think I was there for 3 days, I can't remember, and I was just on babysitting duty. They had 2 young kids, and I was just like in full-blown auntie mode for, I don't know, 72 hours, and it takes a toll. It definitely takes a toll when you're constantly refereeing them, trying to diffuse, arguments and distracting them when shit's getting crazy. My brain is just mush. I don't know how parents do it, but I kind of feel like I'm not built for that life. But I do love being an auntie. So anyway, let's bring out another plant. So this is my philodendron tenue. I think the last time that I did a full feature on this plant was in my plants that I'd like to rehab video. That was a bust. Most of them died, and yeah, not a lot of them made it. They were already kind of doing pretty poorly, and that's just how it goes sometimes. But this tenue was on that list, and I was just determined. I have two tenues. I have this one, which is the, I would say the one that's nicest to me, even though they're both not very nice to me. This one is nicer to me. The other one just absolutely hates my guts, and it's still kind of in rehab mode. Hasn't really improved since the last time I featured it in that video, but this one has kind of, you know, got its shit together enough for me to want to show it again. So showing you kind of the oldest leaves. This is what I was working with for a really, really long time. I could not for the life of me size this plant up. I didn't know what it wanted. All of the leaves would come out looking kind of mangled, and even if it did come out, it would look something like this, if not worse. Like they would just like rip and melt on itself, and it was so annoying. It was a bit surprising for me, just because if you look at like the texture of this plant and even the leaf shape, it doesn't strike you as a plant that would really have any trouble coming out of the caterpillar. It doesn't strike you or strike me as a plant that needs high humidity in order to like unfurl properly. I thought maybe it was a nutrient deficiency. I have been feeding it CalMag both as a soil drench and a foliar feed, and it seemed to help a bit. It's still in low humidity. I'm just growing it again in my plant room in the open exo. So again, it's like maybe 40% on a good day, 45% on a great day, but typically it fluctuates around 30 to 35%. And it's been better because I have sort of increased the amount of CalMag that I'm giving it primarily via foliar spray. I don't know if that's what it is, or if it's the fact that like I gave it a proper pot because it was growing in this little plastic cup for a long time. I've given it a proper pole, and it seems to be like fully rooted in here now. It's a mixture of tree fern fiber and chopped up sphagnum moss. And I finally was able to get out of this like, you know, teeny tiny leaf stage, because I was like, I like the tenue for like that long, shiny, ribby leaf. Let me see if I can throw in a good photo of a tenue here. And I think that this is a plant that flies under the radar of the plant community. I don't know if it's because it doesn't have that like nice dark leaf like a Petriciae or an Emerald Dense Narrow, or you know, those plants that are like highly coveted. I don't know, I will admit it doesn't have the most amazing like leaf. I don't look at this and think like, oh my god, I can't live without it. If I was forced to give up this plant today, I probably could do it easily. It's just more so now I'm kind of just enjoying seeing how much it's grown. I am still kind of waiting for the nice big lobes to form, but if you look at where we're at, I mean, I'm definitely getting somewhere, and it was not an easy feat. And I'm still nowhere kind of where I want to be in terms of my goal with this plant, but I'm seeing it slowly. Like the stem has thickened up quite a bit. I don't know if you can tell, but the stem is getting fatter. Every caterpillar that comes in is getting a little bit like bigger, and I think if I can keep this up, I should maybe by next year have like a nice big tenue leaf. And honestly, I think once I can grow it to that size, I might be done with it. It's just a plant that I wanted to see into its full maturity. Things might change, things always change. There are plants where I was like, oh, I'll just keep this as like a project, and then it's ended up being like one of my favorites. So I say that now, but again, it might be different once I actually have those leaves in my possession, and you know, I've taken another year of like my time to size it up that big. Another thing that I wanted to address with this plant is the cosmetic damage on it. So this is another plant that has spider mites, or had spider mites. I don't see any spider mites right now. I worked at North Shore Tropicals a couple days ago, and I was so tired, but for some reason I got home and I just felt this urge to spider mite treat my entire collection. So I started at like, I don't know, 7 p.m. and I finished around 2 a.m. and I washed down every single plant in my house. I sprayed it down and it was just like a whole thing. And so this is the ones that I treated, but this is from an old treatment. So when this leaf was just emerging, I was like, holy crap, it's so big. It's like one of the biggest caterpillars I've ever seen. But while it was still kind of furled up, I saw spider mites on it. So I was like, how, like, every time, like, they always love those new leaves, and when you allow them to munch on the new leaves, they just get so damaged. And so, you know, me thinking I'm doing a good thing for it, I spray it down with Endol, Safer's Endol, and it just burned through it so bad. And these spots were actually from, yeah, when it was curled up. It like was not opened at all yet, but as soon as it hardened off, I could see where it had burned through, and it looks pretty bad. It looks worse in person. It's not really capturing how bad it looks in real life, and you can see a bit of other damage as well, like where it burned through the leaf. So what I've been trying to do now when I'm spraying with any kind of like harsh chemical, I put a fan in my bathroom. I used to do that all the time before, but you know, you just get lazy. So now when I'm spraying down, I make sure that there's a fan right next to it just to kind of keep things moving, because I think that these burns really happen, one, when you're spraying on a really brand new leaf, when it's really, really delicate, and two, when those chemicals are allowed to kind of just like sit and fester, and then you put them back into their greenhouses. It just adds up, and you end up having leaves that look like they have pimples all over them. But regardless of the cosmetic damage, I am still proud of where we are with this plant. I hope that we can keep sizing it up. I find that sometimes I get to a point, and this was true with my Glorious and my Majestic, where I get to this like peak almost, where I'm like, holy crap, I did that, and then something goes horribly wrong. So, you know, we keep it real here, and I keep my expectations really, really super low. So that's what I'm doing with this plant, but I wanted to show it to you guys because something's working. I think it could be the CalMag and the pole, or a combination of both. I don't know, but I'm still holding my breath with that one. All right, let's take a philodendron break really quick. Oh God, sticking to this couch. Okay, philodendron break, and I'm gonna show you the only Hoya on this list, and that is my Hoya callistophila. This one was my first ancient dumpster Hoya. If you're new here, that is what my friends and I refer to as these sort of like ancient looking, what is that, prehistoric dinosaur reptilian looking leaves that look almost dead, like you're not sure if they're alive or not. That's what they've been calling the ancient dumpster Hoya. So yeah, I would consider this for sure as my first ancient dumpster Hoya, because look at it, it's really, really like nasty and disgusting in the best way, of course. And my Hoyas are sort of an afterthought in my collection. They're the ones that I tend to the least. Not just because of kind of how I would say low maintenance they are, but it's not my, it's flowering. No, how could you do this to me? Oh no, oh no. You're going everywhere now. No. If you are new here, again, I do not like Hoya blooms. I don't like them at all. Someone recently got mad at me for it, and I'm gonna throw up the comment if I can find it. I'm gonna throw up the comment right now. Like, they like legit were bullying me because I don't like Hoya blooms. Like, since when is having an opinion or having preferences in the plant hobby a crime? I can't do anything right on this channel, apparently. So I'm gonna say it with my entire chest, because it's my channel and I'm an adult and I can voice my opinions. I fucking hate Hoya blooms. I think they are disgusting. I think they are nasty. I think it looks sickening. It looks like a disease. It triggers my trypophobia in like the worst way possible. It gives me all the goosebumps. Like, the clustering of it is unnecessary and it's unethical, and and even the smell, like, I have not smelled a Hoya bloom that I liked, honestly. Like, you can't convince me. So anyway, there's that tangent. What was I saying? Oh, I haven't really been paying a ton of attention to my Hoyas, and they kind of just like live in my cabinet and they take care of themselves for the most part. So I didn't even realize how much this thing had grown. This happened without me noticing, truly. And I can't remember, I think the last time I would have really featured it on my channel, it maybe had like 5 leaves at most, and all of these just came out of nowhere. And it's beautiful. I just still have a hard time styling Hoyas. I mean, it's outgrown this architrellis, which I will also link in the description. It fit great on this architrellis when I first got it in here, and now it's just kind of like on its last leg. I feel like I've got to do something. Yeah, I find taming Hoyas to be pretty difficult for me. So I'm thinking I'm gonna have to do something about this soon, but I wanted to at least appreciate like how much growth it's had, and now it's giving me a bloom, which I'm sorry, I'm gonna chop off right when I end this video. It could probably use a repot. It's just in this tiny no drainage vessel in a combination of pond and perlite, and it's doing great. It's really like bushy now. Actually, a lot of my Hoyas have become bushy, and I think I might do one Hoya video maybe on a Wednesday upload for all the people here who do like Hoyas, because there's a ton of growth in there. But if I had to pick one that has just like blown up, I would say this year alone, it's this one. So I might actually take some cuttings of this. I don't think that this is like a highly sought after Hoya. Like if I sold some through North Shore Tropicals or something, or did a purge, I really don't think there would be a ton of interest. I think you can get these really cheap at our stores now in big baskets for like 30 bucks. So I don't know, but I do think that I need to get this under control. I don't have the space to put it on a larger trellis to kind of let it stretch out more. So I think what it's gonna have to come down to is being chopped. But at least I can memorialize it forever in this video and kind of show it to you when it's at its bushiest, because it might not look like this the next time you see it. There is that Hoya. So going back to another philodendron, this is my philodendron mexicanum. I wish it was easier to show this video, or I wish it was easier to show this plant, but where it's sitting in my plant room right now, it's just getting light from overhead, so all the leaves are just like facing up. And if I tilt it, I'm gonna spill pollen everywhere. But this plant's getting freaking huge, and in a way, I'm happy, but also not happy, because this plant specifically, once it's in full maturity, I don't really like the leaves. I'll see if I can, it might be a little bit hard to find a mature mexicanum, but I'll throw a photo up of one of the leaves, and I don't know, it just kind of loses that sort of like silliness about it. You know, I love these long, super long ears and like this skinny little leg that it has. It's just the cutest thing. And I've had this plant for a long time now. I think I got this in 2019. And it's been kind of a slow process to get it to size up. I thought that it would have sized up a lot faster by now, but it didn't really start giving me large leaves until probably last year. So this one is the most recent one. I think this one, this guy right here. It's kind of hard to show the size of it on camera, but it's like probably longer than my forearm by now. Let's see if I can do this. So it's like the size of my forearm plus a little bit of my hand. And this new leaf that's coming in looks massive. I've actually never had a leaf that size before coming out like directly from the caterpillar. But luckily we're still in the sort of stage of it where it looks cute still. Like, look at how cute these leaves are. And then the abaxials, oh my gosh, they're just so yummy. They have a beautiful color and also like the texture. I don't know really how to describe it. It's like kind of this dusty color. Like it looks like it's painted almost. It has like a nice texture to it. It's not like many other leaves, any other philodendron leaves, where it just has a colored, you know, abaxial. This one, it truly looks like a painting, and it's Gorgina. So I do have this on a pole, and it's like fully rooted into the pole now and peeking up. I'm not going to extend it because it still has quite a bit of room to grow. I think it's probably going to need a repot soon, but honestly, I'm going to push it as long as I can. It's in a pretty small vessel. I think this is a 5-inch pot, and it's maybe 5 inches deep as well. But because I have roots in here now, I can keep fertilizing and watering through here. So we've got like an extension of the pot. So yeah, not gonna be repotting this anytime soon. If I can get away with keeping it in here for another year, I would be happy. I'll probably need to extend the pole if anything, but we're gonna try and keep it in this pot just because I don't want to deal with repotting it. If you've had a mexicanum on your radar, I hope that this gives you the push to get one because it is such a fun plant to grow. It's not a really popular plant. I feel like it doesn't get a ton of love, but it's an easy one. Seriously, like I've never really had any major issues with this plant. Even when it had pests, it had thrips. I think it's had every pest under the sun, primarily thrips, and it doesn't really throw a fit like my other plants would if it had as much of an infestation as it had before. Just kind of like, you know, got a bit textural in that like coppery way, like you guys would know if you've had thrips before. But other than that, it just kind of tooted along and was like, it didn't really care. So I can appreciate that just because there are other plants in my collection that are more high maintenance, and when it does get pests, it just like throws the biggest tantrum. So she's my easy girl. I feel like if I had to have like one babysitter to babysit the rest of my plants, this would be her. She's very, very mature. She's an old soul. She acts older than she is, and yeah, she's great. So quick little feature on that one. I don't really have much else to say about it besides the fact that I love it very much, and you should definitely get one. So I have 3 more plants to show, but before I bring out the next one, you guys will go on an ad break. I am going to use the loo, and then I'll meet you back here. Hello, welcome back. And feast your eyes on the next plant, my Monstera elbow, and this is the one that I'm actually keeping. So, oh God, I hate saying this. I say this like 10 million times in every video, but if you are seasoned to this channel or if you've been here a while, you know that I've been propagating them like I'm farming them. I'm not gonna get too much into the details of it, but yeah, now that I'm looking at this plant, I feel like I've featured this recently in something. Was it a favorites video? I can't remember, I'm sorry. Because I was propagating so many, I was kind of over it. I was like, I don't want an elbow, I don't want to see another elbow, I'm over it. But then, I don't know, I had a batch that I kept for a little too long, and when that happens, you know, you get kind of attached, and this is the one that I ended up keeping. And like I mentioned in another video, it's not like this one had like the most like beautiful variegation I've seen. I have propagated many that were just like full half moons, or did like, yeah, a half moon with like one marbled side, not even just like sectoral. I've seen it all. This was kind of just like your run-of-the-mill normal elbow, and I don't know why. I just felt the urge to keep it. So now that I've had it for a while, I am fully attached, and I've been really enjoying watching how much it's grown. To remind you, I grew this from I think it was, I don't know if it was a leafless cutting or if it had like one leaf on it, but I'm inclined to think that it was a one leaf cutting. But you can see where we started and how small the leaf was. Still really, really cute. And ever since getting it onto the pole and giving it like some TLC and not just shoving it in a prop bin, it's kind of rewarded me. And this new leaf is so cute. If the lighting would just stop working against me. It's hard to show plants like this that have a lot of white because my exposure and even the white balance gets thrown a lot. So I'm gonna try to not move, but yeah, I've got like a full half moon here with marbled variegation on one side and then just full white on the other. And the stem is looking like it's getting pretty white, but I have faith that we're gonna keep kind of the every other. Like you can see on this side, like there's more white on this one, and even I would say more white on this one in terms of like sectoral variegation. And then on the right side here, where it's the green part of the stem, it's, yeah, a lot more of that marbled green, which gives it a good balance of chlorophyll. So as much as I love the half moon look on a plant, I am kind of hoping that it keeps this. Lots of sectoral white on this, and then I'll even take like a green leaf on it. Maybe not like a full green leaf, but mostly green. I would be totally happy with that, like something like this leaf. But it is fully rooted into this pole now. I will link these poles in the description. Sorry, you can't really see jack crap because of the glare, but these are the North Shore Tropicals moss poles. I have a mixture of tree fern fiber and soil in the pole, and chopped up moss. The chopped up moss really helps retain moisture and kind of helps keep it inside of the moss pole. Because these holes on the largest pole size are quite large, things can fall out of it pretty easily if you're not just using moss. But I'm not just using moss anymore in my poles because I just find it too difficult to untangle once I'm ready to like remove it from that pole. And I like that, you know, using an amended mix of tree fern fiber and soil just gives it a little bit more like nutritional value in the pole itself, so that I can fertilize through here and I can water through here, and even if things get really root bound down here, I can rely on this as a source of nutrients into the plant, or just a space for more roots to grow. So with that said, I am really loving this elbow. Right now I'm growing it in my, I've moved this thing around quite a bit. It was growing mostly in my Millsville wide in my plant room. That one has a combined total of 34 watts of light in there. I'm using a Barina and a Monios, and I will link both of the lights that I'm using in the description. I really like both of them. They are a different color. The Monios lights are a little bit on the cooler side, but not like fluorescent cool, like white cool, but compared to the Barinas, which are really warm, it does seem a little bit cooler. But the combination of them seem to be working really well for me. There's not a huge difference in the warmth, so it doesn't bother me too much. But my variegated plants love it. And it is really warm in the Millsville wide because it's weather sealed, and I have lots of plants in there, so pretty humid, I wouldn't say super humid, but definitely warm, and lots of direct light onto this one, and it's loved it. But it has since outgrown that space with everything else in there, so I've moved it into the EXO with no doors. Not getting as much light as it did before, not getting as much warmth as it is before, or as it did before, but I'm kind of hoping that it still grows relatively well for me. And I don't have a ton of concerns about it, just because I've grown much larger elbows in ambient humidity and temperatures before, and it did just fine, and I didn't even give it like a proper pole or anything. Wasn't getting a lot of light from windows with no grow light, so I just have faith that this one will be okay. But I do think that if this sectoral variegation or this half moon variegation continues, I'm probably gonna have to start using silica on it, because I worry about the browning. I know it's part of it, but I do think that now it's because it's under a lot less light, that these white parts may not last as long. So I'm hoping with the use of silica, I can retain some of this white a little bit longer. Because to me, there's nothing worse than like a big beautiful elbow, but then just a bunch of like browning leaves on the white. Like I would almost rather not even have an elbow and just grow a regular monstera if that's what it's gonna look like. So yeah, that's this guy. Also want to show you my little worm. I got this from a neighbor. A clay artist made it locally, and then this little mushroom, if you've been looking for some cute mushrooms and you're in the Sacramento area, I got this one from the Secret Garden, and it was like a pack of 3 in 3 different sizes for, I think it was $5.99 or $6.99. It was really affordable. They're really heavy, well made. They look hand painted. So yeah, worth it for me. Worth it for me. So that is this guy, and hopefully the next time I show it, we can have even bigger leaves because just getting there, slowly but surely. This next one is one that I used to show a lot on this channel, but have kind of slowed down on showing for, I actually don't know why, because it's still one of my favorites in my collection. And there is, oh no, gosh. Okay, you know what? I need to put this in a, this is not working for me. I'm getting triggered and I'm sticky. This vessel is so dirty. I'm actually filming, you guys would have watched it already, but I'm filming my Micans video right now at the same time. I often have to do this when I'm on a time crunch. I have to film 2 videos in one go. So my Micans is soaking right now for about an hour, so I figure I can film this video while I'm waiting for that. Come on. Anyway, so this is the pot that the Micans came from, as you would know if you watched it. But I'm so frazzled in the brain today. This is my philodendron soderini. I featured this in my easiest growing plants, easiest philodendrons video. There were some debates on whether this was actually a soderini or a soderoy. I'm not going to talk about that in this video because I talked about it in that video. So if you want to give it a watch, I will also link it in the description. But she's looking like a full soderoy now, and I'm gonna try and show you these new leaves. I am seeing some size growth. If you can just, with all this shaking, if you look in this region right here, you can see, even though it was climbing a pole and it was, you know, given everything in theory, they're all still sort of the same size. And I thought that maybe I maxed out. I was like, okay, maybe because it's a soderini, it's just not gonna get any larger than this. And I was a little bit bummed, but at the same time, like, I do have a soderoy, so I was like, okay, well, I'll just chop it and just keep growing it, even if it never sizes up. But this leaf, I mean, would you say it's larger? It looks larger to me than this guy, or my eyes deceiving me. It's not even fully hardened yet. It's still a little bit soft, but it's bigger. So that is good news for me. I've just been waiting for this sinus to open up, because something I really love about the soderoy is that it's got like this wide sinus, like this wide evil looking sinus almost, in really mature plants. I didn't have a lot of faith in myself that I could even grow a soderoy or a soderini that large, but I think we're making progress. But now the issue that I'm having is it still has quite a bit, like I could probably grow maybe another like 3 leaves on this if the internodes stay as long as they are now, but this barely fits in the XO that I have it in, and it's my tallest XO, the 36 tall. And I think after it outgrows this pole, I'm going to have to resort to growing it out in outside of a greenhouse. I have not grown this plant outside of a greenhouse before, and I'm a little bit nervous that I'm gonna see like a bit of a reversion. Is that a word? A reversion in size, because it's not gonna be in like high humidity anymore. I do feed this pretty often. I am constantly spraying this pole because I don't want these juicy, delicious roots to dry out. My guess is that this soil down here is probably pretty old already, but because I have such a great root system inside of the pole itself, I'm doing most of my fertilizing through this pole and not really down here. But again, my guess is I'm gonna have to chop it, which isn't, I mean, it's not super bad. I already have a pole extension here, so this is 2 poles stacked on top of each other. I'm thinking I can just chop right here, remove the top, get it planted into another pot. I've already got roots up here to work with, so that will be the plan. But I'm just really loving this new leaf specifically. It's so silvery, it's so smooth, it looks like nearly perfect in terms of like cosmetic damage. I can see like maybe one little ding, which was probably from when it was growing up against the glass and I had to like move it while it was still brand new. But otherwise, it looks really good, and it just, to me, it just looks like a soda right now. It does not look like a soderini. I am currently trying to size up another one just to see if I can do it again, because it was very difficult. And again, you can listen to that entire journey for me in that video. I'm not gonna, bore you by saying it again, but yeah, the reason that was in my easiest philodendrons video is because once you kind of crack the code on them and you get them past that certain like awkward phase, it does kind of run on autopilot in a sense. It doesn't have a ton of issues coming out of the cataphyls. Besides like I would say heavy CalMag feeding, it's pretty low-key. This one's just been living in my exo. I have not been giving it a lot of attention. I'm surprised I even have the pole filled as much as I do. It's gonna need a refill though, because this node is exposed, so I can just probably top up this whole thing. I'm happy with the growth this year. I feel somewhat confident that I can get like a leaf the size of my head by the time 2023 ends. That is my goal with this plant. But even if I don't reach that, I'm still really proud of it, and I love it. I love it a lot. It's still one of my favorite silvery looking plants. It's the plant that really sparked my love for plants that are really silvery, and it made me want to start my silver garden, which I have dismantled because it was way too high maintenance to maintain. It was way too high maintenance to maintain. That's what it means, high maintenance. It was too high maintenance to keep. So anyway, that is my soderini. We love her. We love to see the growth on it. And I'm just gonna be like soaking in this new leaf all week because I've been waiting a long time for her. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, I don't know if it's because it's like fully not hardened yet, but it looks a bit bleached to me because it's so close to the grow light. I may need to either remove a grow light from the top or just get it out of the exo right away, because yeah, it doesn't have that really like dark soderoid leaf or soderini leaf like the other ones. It really does look very light green, but again, I guess I'll have to wait to see if it's because it's not hardened off. Anywho, I'm so sorry for my blabbing today. My goodness, haven't really filmed in a few days, and when I don't film for a few days, I just like do a hard reset and I'm like, how do I do this again? For this last one, I don't think any of you mind seeing this again, but I apologize for the repetitiveness of showing this again. I tend to do that. If I have a plant that's doing really well, I'll try and show it as much as possible because I just want as much footage of it as I can while it's looking cute, because like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, this house is volatile. Volatile. It's like things can just be going so great for like a certain plant or all my plants, and then one day I'm like, oh, the entire house has spider mites and everything is dying. Or I'll just like forget that a whole week has gone by and I haven't watered, and then a bunch of plants die. So that's just how it goes in this house. So when something's good, I'm just gonna keep shoving it down your throat. But really, it's just so that like I can capture it on camera, and just in case it takes a turn for the worse, it's memorialized forever. So this is something that I showed you very recently when I got back from California, and this is I don't even know what to call this anymore. It's the philodendron SP Silver, philodendron SP Columbia, philodendron El Guapo. I don't know, but when I showed this to you last on camera, this leaf here was just was it unfurling, or was it just not fully hardened yet? I can't really remember, but it's hardened now, and she's gorgeous, and she doesn't have spider mites, which is like just not, it's not a common thing for me in this house to have like a leafy plant this big and not have spider mites. It just doesn't happen. So, and I probably just jinxed it. But this is another plant that I did a heavy spider mite prevention treatment on. I used tea tree cast iron soap with peppermint cast iron soap. I did spray it down with Endol. I didn't spray this new leaf with Endol because it was still quite soft. But look. Ugh, I can't, I don't know. I'm out of words. My words won't come out. As a reminder, I got this plant from Lauren at Nordstrom Tropicals after Alice got her import in. We all imported, at the time they were SP Columbias, now they're being called El Guapos. We all imported it at the same time, and hers came in so different than ours. Like, her venation was so tight, it was like a completely different form, and I was like in love from the moment I saw it, and I just knew I had to have it. So I dug through every single SP Columbia that Lauren had, and seriously, I think at that time she had like hundreds, I'm not even joking, and I found the perfect one, and I'm so glad I went on that journey, because then I wouldn't have this. And like, look how amazing it is. It's just the perfect pillowy leaf. If this doesn't make you want one of these plants, I really don't know what will. I think I super love this plant because it's so reminiscent, or it reminds me so much of the philodendron plowmanii. I don't know what the name is, but it's the one that does not have any of the white variegation, and it's really, really round, like round. I'm talking like a circle, like way more round than this, and it's got like the overlapping lobes, and it's got these deep primary veins that run all the way to the end of the leaf margin, and because they're so dark like this, it's actually even darker than this one. It just looks like it's like miles deep. It's so beautiful. It's like one of the most beautiful philodendron in my opinion, but they're so hard to come by, and I don't know why. It kind of seems like they were like floating around in cultivation, and then they just disappeared, and I still haven't been able to find one. Luckily, this scratches that itch, and I could not be happier. Getting it into this horizontal planter was probably the best thing I did for it. I would be lying if I said I wasn't nervous about it when I did that repot, which I did on camera. Just because I wasn't sure how it would take to it. I also wasn't sure if it wanted to completely crawl yet, but now that it's been crawling for a while, it's starting to climb upward, so I'm hoping that it just kind of figures it out, that it just kind of falls back and sorts itself out. I'm not gonna really try and force anything right away, but holy guacamole, this plant is so beautiful. I don't know if I showed this to you guys last time, but these also have really fun petioles. It's very, very textural, and it has these like striations. I think that's how you say it, striations. Like, oh, sorry. Like all those like little bumpy lines on the petiole. It's really fun. So not only is it like, you know, I would say the it girl in terms of like a big leafy philodendron, it also has like the textural aspect of it if you're into texture when you're buying plants. So we have come a long way. The stem is getting really thick and juicy. This is the oldest leaf on it, right here. Still really delicious. Even if it only stayed this size, I would be really happy. But this is just peak level. I don't know how much bigger I can grow it. It is slowly crawling out of this thing. I think what my strategy is gonna be, honestly, instead of uprooting this whole thing, I may just place another crawling pot next to it and just let it find it and let it root into it. And then once it's like fully rooted into it, then I'll chop it. And I have the longest stem ever, and you bet your ass I'm gonna be like propagating this thing like crazy, because I want to give one to my mom. She's gonna be here in September. Hopefully by then it'll, you know, have surpassed this pot. I'm not quite sure if we'll get there, but that's my hope. So I want to give one to my mom. I want to propagate a few just because I think that this form of, I'm just gonna call it an El Guapo. We're gonna just call it an El Guapo. I think this form of El Guapo is a little bit more sought after, just because it's not as common when you're importing. So I am gonna try and propagate this thing like crazy and see what I can get from it. And I would love to see how it looks growing from a little baby plant. And to be honest, I'm probably gonna keep another one for myself as a backup. I truly believe with my whole heart that if there's a plant that you love, you should not only have one of them. I think everyone should have a backup of their favorite plant, which is why I have 2 tortums. If one goes wrong, at least I have a backup and I don't have to worry about it. What else do I have doubles of? Doubles of gloriosums, doubles of my Ripsalis paradoxas, doubles of everything. Glorious. Oh, I don't have a glorious anymore. I gave one of my big gloriouses to Alice. But anywho, that's the moral of the story. Have doubles of your plant. Doesn't mean like to go out and buy one, but like when you can propagate it, sell some, but just keep one for yourself, just in case. So that is gonna wrap it up for this video. I wanted to just end it with a bang. This is my bang. How did you feel about the bang? And that's all I have to give for today. So I hope you enjoyed it. I don't want to apologize, but I kind of do for not, having long videos lately. Again, not enough time in the day, not enough time in my weeks. But I am going to try and get a week of up this month. It is August 7th in my timeline. So I think if I can just get enough done this week, I'll be in a good place to film another week of. And I'm gonna aim for 3 hours. I think I'm gonna aim for 3 hours for all of my week ofs, if possible. So that one of those are coming. I have some other really good ones planned, some repot and chats, some I think I have a wish list video coming up, and yeah, I think we're just gonna get back to the content that I'm actually wanting to do. So thank you guys for everyone that's been here, even though it's been a little bit unlike my usual stuff. But yeah, figuring it out, and I will get there. So just give me some time. But thank you so much for watching another video. If you liked it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I don't have anything else to say, so I will see you in the next one.